Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Dressing Room Debrief, when I will take a look at Chelsea's really poor defeat against Fulham at Stamford Bridge, where they lost 2-1 and lost more ground. Uh, I don't think we're in the title race. Safe to say, if we can't beat the likes of Everton and Fulham, Crystal Palace at home, Nottingham Forest at home, then you're probably not going to be competing with the likes of Liverpool, who are just running away with it. They're probably going to be 10 points clear when they win their game in hand. Um, but let's get into yesterday's really poor performance. Now, I thought we were poor at Goodison Park, but if you draw it away at Goodison Park, it's not a bad point to have had considering the circumstances of how bad we actually were. But you cannot be losing 2-1 at home to Fulham. And credit where credit's due to Fulham. Fulham outplayed us. They dominated the second half, all over us. And Anthony Robinson and Castagna had the freedom of Southwest London on the wings with no tracking back from the likes of Sancho. We got overloaded. It looked like they always had a spare man. We didn't press as a team. It was all individually pressing. So if one person pressed, the team wouldn't back up. So they always had a man over to pass to, free man. And I just thought the intensity was poor. People, the likes of Cole Palmer, Fernandez, Casado, some players, they've played so many games where some of them look really fatigued, particularly Palmer when off the ball when they're pressing. Obviously, you cannot not play Palmer because it's a catch-22 really, because you saw by his goal the class, the magic, the moments. He's a bit like Hazard in that, where he can be quiet all game and then just produce a bit of class. So it is a hard one, but I do think that Maresca is right in what he says about the squad depth. He obviously doesn't, trust a lot of the players that are on the bench, because the last two games now have badly called out for some changes and he hasn't done it. And I really think that in the second half, when it's getting away from you, you needed changes early on, and he didn't. And the only change he made was bringing Jackson off for Nkuku, and doesn't really change anything. It's like a like for like sub. He needed to take a look at Fulham, and they were looking threatening, and just change something, like change something tactically, like adjust. I kind of see where Leicester fans are on about, where he said he doesn't have a plan B. I do think, look, I'm not going to tell him what to do because he's got us in second place. Well, we're going to be third soon when Arsenal win. Um, but I just do think that he needs to adjust to teams because they're going to adjust to us. So I just think he needs to that tactic, like to be tactically flexible. That was a mouthful. Because in those sort of games, it's costing us. We really need to change to sort of grab a hold of the game again. I thought Sancho's had a poor couple of few games against Everton. He was poor, I thought, and I thought he was poor yesterday. Cucurella always had Traore, Castagna, people overloading those wings, and we didn't do anything about it. There's literally the defense is so poor that we really need to address that if we're going to compete for titles, because the amount of times where there's players left free at the back post all the time and no one picks them up, and it's like a huddle of players go to the front plot, like group at the front post, and their players just go around the back and no one ever marks them. And credit to Sanchez, by the way, because I've seen a couple of people slagging him off. He actually kept us in second half by making some outstanding saves. All right, yeah, his distribution could have been better, but Fulham were pressing high. So and people are groaning when you play it into that, and them heart sort of stopping moments when you're playing it to the defenders and they've got players on them, and people moaning and groaning, and then when he clears it they moan and groan, so you can't win. um but I just thought that, yeah, Fulham deserved that win. Like, they all over us in that second half, and I didn't think they weren't that bad in the first. The first half they were, passing it out from the back, no pressure from Chelsea, and yeah, I thought they looked quite good, and we let them look good as well, and they're not a bad team, and we just were really poor, and I'm really surprised at that. I'm struggling to think of any players that had a good game, barring the goalkeeper who made some outstanding saves. Um, Cucurella should have scored that header at 1-0 up, put us 2-0 up. We missed chances again. Jadon Sancho at 1-1. The sort of half volley at the back stick should have scored. I just think that we've still got that sort of Achilles heel where the finishing is really sort of letting us down. Same at Goodison with Jackson's chances. If we're going to start, competing for titles, we need to be more clinical. And I haven't really got much more to say because I just think it was that bad that it was just like, yeah, I really hope we turn it around against Ipswich and especially against Crystal Palace in the new year.